Hello everyone, this is Sloth from Slothnmoose. Got another Starcraft 2 commentary. Moose is not going to be with me yet again, and I really hope everybody's having a great weekend. But I know I am. So decided to cast this. This is actually a subscriber replay. He said this is one of our guys, HuntedWater. He's been really active on our channel lately, and I decided I was going to cast it since it was a Zerg. I know Moose just got done casting one of the Protoss. I think it was Protoss versus Protoss. And of course, that's his main race, so he'd be able to help out people a lot more on that. I believe I'd be able to help people out, or I'd be able to help Hunted out and other bronze level Zerg players in this. So immediately, a really good thing that Hunted has done so far is send this Overlord out directly across the water to this expansion, because the map is Lost Temples, so there are 4 spawn points. This one, the one his opponent is in, which his opponent is Dernael, so we'll say Dernael. And this one, and of course the one he's sending his Overlord to. So really good job right there. And I assume this one is probably going to come straight over here or go to this expansion. So to be a bronze level player and do that, I don't know why I did not do that as a bronze level player. So it does look like we are going to see a 10 pull from Hunted. Hunted, I understand why you do this. At lower level play, people do like to get really early pulls. So as you see, the other Zerg player, of course, is also getting a spawning pool, and he's going to continue to drone up as well as Hunted. And Hunted's doing a good job of keeping his minerals low in the game. I would advise around this time when your spawning pool's going down to go ahead and send out a scout. I understand you're probably going to be fine considering you got your spawning pool at 10. That's a really safe timing to get your pool at, especially since he got his too. But at this time, I would go ahead and send a scout, because if you go and scout him right now, see that he does not have his spawning pool going up yet. Say he was maybe a silver or gold league player, he'd be really susceptible to a pretty quick Zergling rush or even Baneling. So you are up to 200 minerals now. I would advise you, as soon as your spawning pool goes up, to go ahead and get your queen. You are producing another few drones, it looks like, and you are producing 1 spine crawler. So this spine crawler is going to be pretty good for defense, especially against if he has early like a 6 ling, which I'll pull up the production chart for people. We do see 2 lings coming from him, and from Dernael, and they probably are just going to be for scouting or taking out your scouting drones. But you did send a scouting drone, and actually I'm just going to watch this in your perspective, so it's a lot easier for me to criticize and tell you what you're doing good and everything. So you are getting your gas now, which is good, around 18. You probably should produce a few Zerglings just for map control now, and maybe take out a few scouting drones, scout these Zelnaga towers, just like 1 or 2 sets of Zerglings. Even 2 Zerglings can help you a lot. So I'm going to cut the production chart out, because that's going to, I apologize. I've done that like my past 3 replays. Cut that off. So you do have your queen out now. Go ahead and inject, and you did. At this point, I would advise you to probably either throw down a Roach Warren or decide what you're going to do next. Do you have Zergling speed? You don't have Zergling speed yet. So your minerals are going to just skyrocket above your gas at this point, because you're not really going to produce anything right now. I mean, if you want a Roach Warren, you'd go ahead. You might be doing that now. Let's see what this drone does. So you are going to produce a Roach Warren, which is going to be good, because I did see that your opponent was going a Roach Warren, which you don't know at this point. But you do have these 2 Zerglings now. I would advise you to definitely scout with these 2 Zerglings. These 2 Zerglings are very expendable. 50 minerals for scouting is absolutely nothing, and this is wonderful placement for this Overlord. You could move him over a little bit more just so you could make sure to see if he was expanding or not. But that is one of the main problems as a lower level player, is knowing when to expand and knowing when to not. So I've like pretty much made the 15 hatchery my like signature. Like that's what I almost do almost every game, unless I just feel really comfortable doing something else. But we do see you are very well saturated, and your gas is going down at this point. You are getting Zergling speed, and since you're getting the second gas, you messed up a little bit right there, but that's not a problem at all. Of course, everybody makes mistakes, and it does look like you're putting a hidden expansion down, so very risky move. But for this level of play, you're not going to expect anybody as like if this is a bronze or a silver level player, you would not expect them, especially since they've already scouted your main, you would not think that they would be able to come over here and scout this out. Another thing is, I would advise you to do your best to not get supply blocked. That was one of my worst things that mess me up all the time as a lower level Zerg player, which I still am lower level, but I mean this is a little lower than me. But one of the main things that just screwed me up all the time was getting supply blocked. So now you're doing a good job of spending your minerals. You probably should produce, let's see if you are getting one more Overlord and a few more roaches, which this roaches, considering that you haven't scouted yet, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and get. But honestly, man, you have to scout. You've got to start making it a habit to scout. You can't really make it in StarCraft 2 without scouting. It does look like you did scout a lot of lings and one queen. So at this point, with you seeing all those lings, there was probably 10, 15, maybe even more up there, and his queen sitting on the top of that ramp. I would go ahead and throw down a baneling nest. But that's just me. You are going hatchery, which I would expect you to go probably standard Roach Hydra, especially since you're getting this Evo chamber. You're probably going to throw down the first missile attack upgrades. And you aren't producing, you're just going to produce, I guess, completely straight roaches right now. And I would assume after you get this hatch down, you're going to go ahead and throw down a Hydra den and start pumping some Hydras. So I would actually advise you at this point to probably pump out some more units, which you're probably doing at this point. Let's see. I guess all these are going to be roaches. So, and one other thing you could do with these roaches, I understand it is really nice to be able to just sit on top of your base and feel really comfortable. If you know what I mean. I used to hate having to move from this point to another point to keep doing things, but you have to make a habit of being able to micro on the mini-map or micro using spacebar or so on. But what I would advise you to do with these roaches is sit them on top of your ramp right here, because the worst thing that could happen with all of those Zerglings you saw is if they just ran up on this ramp real quick and was able to surround these roaches, because he did have a lot of lings. And roaches, I would compare roaches against lings, unless they're microed, to marauders against marines. It's just my personal opinion. They're just not my favorite thing to use against lings. So I don't know why you pulled your 3 off of gas. That might have been a mistake, which of course is not that big of a deal. You are getting Carapace level 1, which is good. You are getting the melee attack. I'm not sure exactly why you're getting the melee attack. The only units you really have for the melee attack right now are these lings, and your queen is also melee unless it's against air. So that might have been a misclick by you. You might not know that, but I would advise, especially if you're going to go roach, that level 1 and the ground carapace level 1. So you probably few mistakes so far. That was probably a mistake, I would assume, unless you have some crazy plan in the back of your mind to go like insanely fast ultraless. But and one more thing, at this point in the game, you're about 10 minutes in the game. A really standard timing, I don't know about lower level because I haven't played it in a long time, like bronze level league, but really standard time for another Zerg player to go Mutalisk would be about the 10-minute mark. And you see we're at 10:47 right now, if y'all can see that in the bottom left. We're about 10:47 now, so at this point I would advise you to either have up a Hydra den, have up maybe a couple of spore crawlers, and you're doing a pretty good job of saturating your second, and you're doing a decent job of, and you are doing a very good job of your hotkeys. This is a really standard hotkey right there. You have your queen, queen lair, queen hatch, which you can actually put your queens on the same hotkey and still inject with the closest one. So either way, that's good. And you are getting roach speed, which you're doing a really good job to be a bronze level player, except the fact that you haven't really scouted. That is one thing right here, is you have scouted this expansion, so that's a good thing for you. At this point, you really do need some other kind of tech, and it does look like you are going to go Hydra in. So a really standard Roach Hydra right here, which, I mean, it's good for low level play, but then again, you don't know what your player has. But Roach Hydra is just the brute force behind Zerg if you're lower level. The other brute force, and there they are right there. So he did have his Mutalisk coming off of one base, and if you would have scouted this out, you would have known, you would have been able to push in a little bit sooner with these roaches, because these Mutalisks wouldn't have been out yet.